aliens disclosure. UFO 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 aliens disclosure. Let's go.
All right, let's dive deep into parallel dimensions, talking about the possibility of, other universes, maybe just a little different from ours, or maybe totally alien worlds. We've got a lot of fascinating stuff to dig into for this one. Scientific papers, philosophical discussions, even some stories from people who think they've experienced alternate realities. Pretty wild stuff. You ready to get your mind blown?
Absolutely. What I think is so interesting is that this isn't just, science fiction. There are serious scientists thinking about parallel dimensions.
Yeah, okay, so let's start with one of the most mind-bending ideas out there, the many worlds interpretation. I've read about it, but I always need a little refresher,
Right, yeah, so this is the interpretation from physicist Hugh Everett III. It basically says that every time something is measured on the quantum level, like every decision, every coin flip, every thought even,
right,
reality branches off, split. So there's a universe where you had cereal for breakfast and another where you had toast. And each of those universes splits again with your next choice, and so on and so on. Creates this massive, constantly expanding multiverse.
So every possibility, no matter how tiny, actually exists somewhere. That's a lot to process.
It really challenges how we think about reality in our everyday lives. And this idea is connected to another big concept in quantum mechanics, superposition.
Superposition, right? I remember that from way back in a physics class. It's about particles being in multiple states at the same time.
Exactly. Think of Schrodinger's cat, the thought experiment. The cat's both alive, A and D, dead at the same time until you look in the box. Superposition suggests that reality might be like that, not settling into one definite state until something forces it to choose.
So with the many worlds thing, every time a particle could go this way or that way, it actually does both, just in different universes.
Yeah, you can think about it that way. And physicist Sean Carroll argues that this quantum multiverse idea could explain some of the weird stuff we see in quantum mechanics. He suggests that the different universes don't, directly interact, but they influence each other subtly, which leads to particles behaving strangely.
Okay, that's pretty wild. But it's all theoretical, right? What about real-world stuff? I know you sent over those accounts of people who think they've experienced glitches, or even slipped into a parallel universe. What about that?
Yeah, those are fascinating, even if a lot of people just dismiss them as stories. One example, there's this woman who was convinced she'd gone back to her childhood home, but a different family lived there. She swore it was the right place. The details about the house were different. Things she remembered really clearly had just changed overnight, like she'd stepped into a reality where her life went a totally different way.
Man, that's a creepy story. Makes you wonder, are these just mental things, or actual glimpses into other dimensions?
Hard to say for sure. But let's go from personal experiences to another theory, one that supports multiverses. Brain theory. It comes from string theory. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, vaguely. String theory is the one that says everything's made of tiny vibrating strings, right?
Right, and brain theory takes that further. It says our universe is just one brain, like a sheet or membrane, floating in a higher dimensional space. And there can be tons of other brains, other universes, existing with ours.
So our universe is like a bubble, floating with a bunch of other bubbles, each one a separate universe. That's wild. And I think I read somewhere that these brains could even bump into each other.
Exactly. Some physicists think those collisions could be the cause of huge energy events, like the Big Bang, maybe? Or they could even explain some of the strange things we see out in space, things that don't quite fit with what we know about physics now.
Okay, so taking all this together, many worlds, superposition, brain theory. Are we talking about the possibility of infinite universes, each one slightly different from the others?
It is a mind-blowing possibility. And if we accept that, it leads to so many other questions, like what are these other universes like? Are there other versions of us out there living completely different lives?
Yeah, it really is a lot to think about. I mean, if every decision creates a new reality, then there's a universe where I didn't wimp out of that skydiving trip a while back, and another where I actually took that job in Paris.
It really makes you think about all the paths not taken and how our lives could have been totally different. But beyond the personal stuff, there are some big scientific and philosophical questions too.
Like what kind of questions?
Well, for starters, if we could somehow prove other universes exist, and even crazier, find a way to get to them, what would that mean for us? for humanity? Would it open up like totally new knowledge, new resources, or would it be super risky?
Yeah, it's hard to even imagine what the implications would be, meeting other versions of ourselves, or even totally new life forms. The possibilities for discovering things are huge. But so are the risks, conflict, disruption.
Exactly. And we haven't even talked about the ethical side of things. If we were to interact with other universes, how would we make sure we didn't mess them up or break their natural laws?
Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility. It seems like exploring other dimensions would be kind of like stepping onto a new planet for the first time. You'd have to be really careful.
Absolutely. But let's bring it back down to Earth for a minute. We talked a lot about theory, but what about proof? Evidence. Is there anything solid that suggests parallel dimensions are real?
Right, that's what I was going to ask. Are we any closer to actually proving any of this scientifically?
There's no definitive proof yet, but there are some really interesting research avenues. We mentioned the Large Hadron Collider before. Scientists are using it to smash particles together at crazy speeds, hoping to create conditions that might show evidence of extra dimensions.
So they're basically trying to bash open a door to another universe.
Kind of, yeah. They're looking for any signs of particles or energy behaving in ways we can't explain. Anything that might hint at a connection to another realm.
What about quantum computing? That's moving really fast now, too. Could that help us find parallel dimensions?
Definitely. Quantum computers can do calculations way beyond what regular computers can do. So we could simulate what particles do at the quantum level with much more accuracy. And that might reveal subtle signs of interactions with other dimensions.
So it's like brute force with the Large Hadron Collider and insane precision with quantum computing. Feels like we're getting closer and closer to understanding the multiverse.
The quest to understand parallel dimensions is a real testament to human curiosity and our drive to figure out the mysteries of the universe. It pushes the boundaries of science and makes us rethink our place in the cosmos.
It really is an incredible journey, both scientifically and philosophically. It's amazing how what used to be pure science fiction is now becoming a real area of science.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what we'll know about the universe in another 100 years, or even 1,000. Maybe future generations will look back at our theories and think they're primitive, like how we see those old ideas about a flat Earth.
It's hard to even imagine what kind of breakthroughs are ahead. But for now, we have way more questions than answers. And the sense of wonder about what might be out there beyond what we can perceive.
That sense of wonder is what drives science forward. It's about embracing the unknown and pushing the limits of what we think is possible.
Well, this deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. So, to wrap things up, I want to leave you with this thought. We've been talking about what it would mean to actually access other dimensions, but what if the real value is in the searching, the journey itself?
That's an interesting way to look at it. How do you mean?
Well, think about it. Trying to understand parallel dimensions is forcing us to create new technology, new ways of thinking, new ways of seeing the universe. Even if we never actually prove other universes exist, the journey itself expands our knowledge and what we're capable of.
Right, it's like that saying, it's not the destination, it's the journey. The pursuit of knowledge, even if it leads to something that seems impossible, has value in itself.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe searching for parallel dimensions will lead to other breakthroughs, stuff we never even thought of. Maybe it'll inspire new solutions to problems we have here on Earth, or even a deeper understanding of ourselves and where we fit in the universe.
It reminds us that seeking knowledge often leads to unexpected discoveries, even if they're not what we set out to find.
Well, on that note of cosmic mystery and the endless possibilities of science, we'll wrap up this deep dive. We hope you enjoyed exploring the mind-bending world of parallel dimensions with us. Until next time, keep looking up, keep asking questions, and keep your mind open to all the infinite possibilities of the universe. So our universe is like a bubble floating alongside countless other bubbles, each a separate universe. It's a pretty wild concept, and I remember reading that these brains could even collide.
Exactly. Some physicists suggest that these collisions could be the source of huge energy events like the Big Bang itself, or even explain some of the strange phenomena we observe in space that don't quite fit with our current understanding of physics.
So taking all this together, the many worlds interpretation, superposition brain theory, are we essentially talking about the possibility of infinite universes, each slightly different from the others?
It's a mind-boggling possibility, and if we accept that, and it raises a ton of other questions, like what are these other universes like? Are there other versions of us out there living completely different lives?
It's definitely a lot to consider. I mean, if every possible decision creates a new branch of reality, then there's a universe out there where I didn't chicken out of that skydiving trip a few years back, and another where I actually took that job offer in Paris.
It really makes you think about the paths not taken and how our lives could have unfolded differently. But beyond the personal implications, there are also some pretty major scientific and philosophical questions that arise from the concept of multiverses.
Like what?
Well, for starters, if we could somehow prove the existence of other universes, and even more incredible, find a way to access them, what would that mean for humanity? Would it open up new frontiers of knowledge, new resources, or would it pose unimaginable risks?
It's almost impossible to grasp the implications. Imagine encountering other versions of ourselves, or even entirely new forms of life. The potential for discovery is immense, but so is the potential for conflict or disruption.
Exactly, and we haven't even touched on the ethical considerations. If we were to interact with other universes, how would we ensure we didn't inadvertently harm them or disrupt their natural laws?
It's a lot of responsibility, it seems like. Exploring other dimensions would be like stepping onto a pristine planet for the first time. We'd need to tread very carefully.
Absolutely. But let's come back to the present for a moment. We've talked a lot about the theory, but what about the evidence? Is there anything concrete that suggests parallel dimensions actually exist?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Are we any closer to scientifically proving any of this?
There's no definitive proof yet, but there are some intriguing avenues of research. We mentioned the Large Hadron Collider earlier. Scientists are using this massive particle accelerator to smash particles together at incredible speeds, hoping to create conditions that might reveal evidence of extra dimensions.
So they're basically trying to bash open a doorway to another universe.
In a way, yes. They're looking for any signs of particles or energy behaving in ways that can't be explained by our current understanding of physics, anything that might suggest a connection to another realm.
And what about quantum computing? I know that field is advancing rapidly. Could that play a role in the search for parallel dimensions?
Absolutely. Quantum computers have the potential to perform calculations far beyond the capabilities of classical computers. This could allow us to simulate the behavior of particles at the quantum level with much greater accuracy, potentially revealing subtle hints of interactions with other dimensions.
So it's a combination of brute force with the Large Hadron Collider and incredible precision with quantum computing. It seems like we're getting closer and closer to unlocking the secrets of the multiverse.
The quest to understand parallel dimensions is a testament to human curiosity and our drive to unravel the mysteries of the universe. It's a pursuit that pushes the boundaries of science and challenges us to reimagine our place in the cosmos.
Yeah, it really is an incredible journey, both scientifically and philosophically. It's amazing how what was once just pure science fiction is now a real area of scientific inquiry.
It makes you wonder what our understanding of the universe will be like in 100 years or even 1,000 years. Maybe future generations will look back at our theories like we look at ancient ideas about a flat Earth.
I can't even imagine what kind of breakthroughs are ahead of us. But for now, we're left with more questions than answers. And that sense of wonder about what might lie beyond what we currently perceive as reality.
That sense of wonder is what drives scientific exploration. It's about embracing the unknown and pushing the boundaries of what we think is possible.
Well, this deep dive has certainly given me a lot to ponder. So to wrap things up, I want to leave you with this thought. We've been talking about the potential implications of actually getting to other dimensions. But what if the real value is in the search itself?
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
How so?
Well, think about it. The quest to understand parallel dimensions is pushing us to develop new technologies, new ways of thinking, new ways of seeing the universe. Even if we never actually find definitive proof of other universes, the journey itself is expanding our knowledge and our capabilities.
I see your point. It's like the old saying, it's not the destination, it's the journey.
Yeah.
The pursuit of knowledge, even if it leads to unexpected or even seemingly unattainable goals, has inherent value.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe the search for parallel dimensions will lead us to breakthroughs in other areas that we never anticipated. Perhaps it will inspire new solutions to problems here on Earth, or even lead to a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos.
It's a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge often leads to unexpected and profound discoveries, even if they're not the ones we initially set out to find.
And on that note of cosmic mystery and the endless potential of scientific exploration, we'll wrap up this deep dive. We hope you enjoyed exploring the mind-bending world of parallel dimensions with us. Until next time, keep looking up, keep questioning, and keep your mind open to the infinite possibilities of the universe of taking.
UFO alien disclosure. UFO alien disclosure. UFO alien disclosure. UFO alien disclosure. Let's go.